Hello and welcome to this pit stop for Chronicles of Crime, designed by David Cicurel and published by Lucky Duck Games. In Chronicles of Crime, the players are going to be working together as a police team in this setup in London, attempting to solve various crimes. Now, the game comes with physical components which are adaptable to several different cases, and it must be played with an app which you can download for free for your smartphone. To start with, and I'm going to be running through the 10-minute tutorial which helps you learn the game. So if you don't want any spoilers for that 10-minute tutorial, please stop now, but they're not really spoilers because it's not a full case. It's just to teach you what I'm going to show you right now. You start off at Scotland Yard with your chief of police, and the way the app runs things is that you scan these QR codes to find things out. So initially you'll scan this code and the chief of police will tell you that an old lady has been found dead. Now, we don't have a location for this old lady at the moment, so we put her down here, unlocated. While you're talking to the chief of police, you'll have a conversation open with him, and for any of the characters, while you start talking to them, you can scan other codes and they will answer questions about it. So you could scan himself and he'll tell you about himself, maybe. Or natural thing to do would be to scan the old lady. And then the chief of police will tell you that this old lady has been found dead at her apartment in the Notting Hill area of London. So we can locate her now, that's where she is. And they ask you to solve the crime and find out whether she's been murdered or whether it was accidental. So a natural thing to do then would be to go to the crime scene, and we would take our smartphone and we would scan this QR code and we would then be at the crime scene. Now, whenever you go to a place of real interest, you can then have a look around the place, and you can do this using your mobile phone, especially at the crime scene. Now, you can use some VR glasses that you can buy as an additional purchase, or you can do it without those, and you just say, I'm having a look around the scene. And hopefully you can see something there on the phone. And if we look a bit over here, we'll see there's some dead cats on the floor. There's a game of bridge been going on. There's a big telephone there. And if we were able to look all the way around, be able to see the old lady dead in her wheelchair. Now, we're looking at all these things to try and find out what we think might be evidence and what might be relevant at the crime scene. We're then going to take all the things we think we've seen and we're going to work out whether they are evidence or not. Now, we saw a telephone, some communication devices. There's loads of dead cats around the place. There was a game of bridge going on. There was a half-eaten cake on the floor, which you didn't see. There was a letter around the place. The lady had jewellery around her neck. She was also wearing clothes, which is good. And there were some flowers on there. And what we do is, while we're here, we can scan all of these and see whether they relate to evidence at the crime scene. As it happens, the jewellery, the clothes she was wearing, and the flowers in the room have nothing to do with this one, so we can throw them away. But these are all relevant. These four helpers are always available to us. And much as like when we were talking to the chief of police, we can scan them to start a conversation with them over the phone and then try and talk to them about some of this evidence. And they will give us clues. For example, with the telephone, this intelligence bureau, the tech guy will tell us there was a phone call recently made and it was by this lady here, Rose. So she has something to do with it, but we don't know where she is at the moment. When we go to the doctor to look at the animals, he'll tell you that they've actually been poisoned. So we can also go to the criminology centre and look at the games, and that will tell you that a game of bridge, which is what's being played, is usually played in partnerships. When we look at the food, it will tell you there was digitalis in it, which is part of the poison, which will link things together. That's the half-eaten cake. And when we look at the papers, it's nothing to do with these guys, but that will be a letter from an anonymous person telling this poor victim that she's too old to be any good at bridge anymore and that she won't be any good in the competition. It will also tell us that this lady was part of a bridge club in Leicester Square. So we can then, if we wish to, go off to Leicester Square, scan it, and when we get there, this lady who's a vet will be there to greet us, and we can ask her some questions, and you'll eventually find out that this lady here was the best bridge player in the club. However, this dead lady was the club president, and she insisted that she played with her, and she wasn't as good as her, so we're kind of getting a bit of the story here. And then when we think we've worked out the whole story, we can go back to Chief of Police and start answering their questions. The way you answer the questions again is to scan in the piece of evidence that you think is crucial to it. So when he says, who do you think killed the lady? You could scan her if it was her. And she meant to make the lady unwell, but she gave her too much digitalis. She didn't know that she feeds food to her cats, as we found out from the vet, and they all died as well, and it all went horribly wrong. And then they'll ask you some more questions about why, so you can scan the game of bridge, for example, and that will give you the whole answer to this very, very simple case. Those are the processes with which you play the more intense and complicated cases going up to 7 different locations with lots of different characters coming in. These cards can be different people in different cases, and there's downloadable content within the app which will give you more and more cases as you wish to pay for them, and it looks like there are other settings coming out as well. So there you go, this has been a pit stop for Chronicles of Crime. For more videos like this, check out the Game Pit YouTube channel. For more in-depth coverage of gaming, please check out the Game Pit podcast. Thank you.